and Tiz the Law has the lead at the top of the stretch. It is Tiz the Law in front with 3/16 to the finish. Tiz the Law has a 4-length lead. He's left the others behind.
Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Race Course, this is Racing Across America. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. The new Capital OTB wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with the new Capital OTB wagering platform. CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State. And the Clubhouse Racebook. Can't make it to the track? Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook. 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Good morning. Welcome to Racing Across America on this Friday morning. I'm Seth Merrow, as usual, live from our Clare Court location on, as we said earlier, a beautiful Saratoga morning. Today on the show, we were expecting to have Gary Sciacca. I got a text from him. Friday is turf work day, and he had a couple of horses that he was going to bring out on the turf. I was kind of looking forward to getting Gary's side of the thing. We had Ed Pizzone in the other day. They won the stake, the Susie O'Kane, the other day with Dream Central.
I wonder if Dream Central's working.
That could be. That, in fact, I think that's very possible. But we'll try to reschedule Gary at some point. But we will have Joe Clancy in a few minutes. He will join us, regular rotation for the Saratoga Special crew. Johnny V, I caught him in the Jocks room yesterday because it's PDJF weekend coming up. Autograph session tomorrow, karaoke Sunday night, so we'll have that coming up. And a little towards the end of the show, Mike Repole here in the last half hour. We will have plenty of time to talk to Mike. One with Ness, one with Fearless yesterday. We'll talk about that and much, much more. We'll look forward to some of his runners as well. But because Gary Sciacca was a late scratch, I asked Anthony to stick around, and we talk often about, well, we certainly make picks on the handicapping show, and I always say, I think it's worthwhile to also look at the structuring angle. The handicapping is one thing. The other side of the same coin is the how you play. And you talk, for me, I'm exactas, and I like pick fours and whatnot. You're a try guy, so I thought maybe we
Which makes you versatile. You're a vertical and horizontal. I think in this day and age, there's fewer and fewer of those. I think when I talk to folks that are in this, let's say, basically hardcore from, say, February to Breeders' Cup weekend, that it seems that we've all settled into a camp, and I am one of those. I cannot remember the last pick 3, pick 4, pick 5. I would say maybe never. I 5 or 6 years ago, I had an opinion. That champagne room that was $60. So I wanted to really blow it out, and I took a small ticket. But I'm a vertical player, almost. Seth, I would say not quite 100%, but my two bets are to bet the horse that I like, that's keying the triple, and a win bet. He's 4-1. My opinion and the data shows me that if I'm right about the horse winning the race and my types of horses at 6-1, you and I, we have to get paid. So you have to make a win bet. So that's just a mechanical apparatus for me. And I've also noticed that if the horse that I like to win the race, which for a trifecta player, and certainly pick 3 is the most important thing, wins, invariably it always covers my exotic play. So I walk away. I never feel awful that I let a $14 horse go, and I finish in the black, maybe only 20% or something, because obviously the loss in the trifecta eats it up. And not counting Breeders' Cup Day, which is to me a singular type of a gambling event, which I love, I'm usually, when I think the favorite is very susceptible to not hit the board, and basically a 1 by 3 by 5 or 6, almost a pyramid effect. And there's usually 2 or 3 races a day that I'm vested in, because it meets that, where my winner will be $12, $14 ish, and I think the favorite might not affect or be in the triple at all. And it's just, you know, it's worked for me. The data shows that it works.
Build the pyramid and race
Here it
it.
is.
We got a minute or two.
Right, here we go. To me, it all starts with Lyrical Poet, who I like with the early speed from the inside, and it's 6-1, and we'll see how that goes. And then the fact that Chuck Willis is on the outside as the favorite, and I have him in third, but it's like I'm rooting for him to get out. I'm rooting for him to be out of my trifecta. And we talked about the horses so a horse like much better at 15-1. Obviously, Anaconda, my second pick. Now, this will sound funny. Even though Chuck Willis is my third pick, he wouldn't be in my second slot because I'm rooting for him to be off the board. And, you know, that's just how I play. So for me, it's like the one with, is how you properly say it at the window, the 3, 4, 6, and then with, I try not to be a complete knucklehead. Obviously, you have to take the 3, 4, 6 with you into the show spot. It's not a rule, but it makes the most sense. And I'm going to add the 4, and I am going to add the 10. Because unless you're trying to throw a cigar out of the mix, like a dummy, you can still get a $200 trifecta, maybe that's probably a little high. Maybe an $80 trifecta.
So you got 1 over 3, 4, 6. Give the
last 1 over 3, 5, 6, not the 4. 3, 5, 6.
Oh, okay. 1 over 3, 5, 6.
And then
you throw the 4, 3, 4, 5, 6.
3, 4, 5, 6. So basically what I'm adding is the 4 and the 10 in the bottom. And this is just a bet that I just wheel through. Now, you know, I know we got Joe and on, keep him waiting, but that's really where I am, and I kind of walked everybody through the financial end that, you know, you have a 40. You know, I always say this, I never wince when a horse that's like 580 goes by and I don't have them. I'm like, but a horse goes by at $14 and then I would wince, and you upset your equilibrium. So, and if you're right about the winner, you got to get paid, and it covers the shot you took.
No, I like that pyramid structure.
Yes.
All right. There's an idea in the 8th today. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Thanks for sticking around a little bit and
glad to
filling our first slot here. But now our second slot. Joe Clancy in the house. We'll talk a little racing and review and preview and what's coming up in the Saratoga Special a little bit later on. Mike Repole. Stay tuned. Racing Across America continues.
For 4 generations and looking forward to a 5th, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued their 99-year tradition of delighting their faithful following with the finest authentic Italian recipes made with the freshest ingredients. Some things have changed in the last 99 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Hello everyone, I'm Scott Vartley, and I'm here at the West Condominiums in Saratoga Springs. And guess what? We are down to the home stretch. Everything is 2 bedrooms and 2 baths. Come make a selection of one of the greatest condos ever to be built in Saratoga Springs. We're starting in the upper 5s, and the only rooftop penthouse available now under construction. Wow, just look at this patio. We have a rooftop pool, heated garage, balconies, and a gym. Call me at 518-281-6808.
Very into it, yeah. Oh, welcome back to Racing Across America. Dino, just so you know, I did not hear you in my ear that time. So once again, the earpiece is a little bit dicey, but we are back. racing across America, joined now by Joe Clancy from the Saratoga Special. Joe, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Happy to have you on. Second time this week. I did a pinch hit for Vic, and you were on the radio there.
Is he back from his whirlwind vacation or whatever you want to call it?
Research project? He's got the horses, the
crabs,
ponies
and
I don't know.
I want his life for a couple days. Sounds good, you know?
Exactly. And he has tried to transfer his wardrobe to me, so by proxy, I do have, like, I get the box of ties every year. But on the radio, we talked about the jump race in preview. Let's take a little look now in review, going back to Wednesday, race number 1. It is Freddie Flintshier. Story, because Parker Hendricks is, we talked about him on the radio. He's on the jump side of things, really an up-and-coming young guy, and it was kind of fun afterwards on the Fox show. He was interviewed by his sister. Given what he had done here, winning a nice stakes race, and he was clearly kind of emotional, and you can see he gives it a fist pump and winning a race at Saratoga with these connections and whatnot. So again, second week in a row, I think it was a fun story.
Yeah, for sure. 18-year-old kid just graduated high school, and winning a race at Saratoga certainly matters. And yeah, he's off to a great start. I mean, his spring was really good, and it's kind of just rolled on through the summer. And that horse was really good. We talked, and I thought that race was wide open, really competitive. Any of the bunch could win, and he kind of just ran away from it. It's like he jumped into the race at the quarter pole. It's like, I got fresh legs, and nobody else did. I say it all the time. The steeplechasers are thoroughbred horses. They cross over from flat racing. He was with Brendan Walsh and Qatar Racing, and he couldn't win. He was a maiden on the flat, and cut out to be a nice horse. And the extra mile and jumps and just a change in scenery, I guess. But he's done very well as a jumper, and to me it just shows that horses can go do this. And,
second win in 4 starts over the jumps, and Kerry Bryan training the former Jonathan Shepard assistant, so she gets her first win at the meet. We've talked about it a little bit with you. The jumpers, the jump side, they are a stout group over these last few weeks as they're bouncing back and forth between here and Colonial.
Yeah, that crew. Parker, especially this week, Colonial got backed up a day, so they ran at Colonial on Tuesday, and there were 3 of them in the car, and they just took turns driving from Colonial to Saratoga. It's 17-ish hours, I think it is, but no thank you. Sounds terrible.
Speaking of that, it was Wednesday, I think. They had the Colonial Cup on Wednesday, and Snap Decision was in there as a super talented jump horse, but went in the flat stake at Colonial. Ran a decent third.
Yeah, they had to be really happy with that, and he's kind of unlucky to not be second. He got sort of had to just idle behind horses on the inside coming off the turn. He probably wasn't going to beat the winner. He was pretty clear, but was probably going to be second if he got through a little sooner. And Jack Fisher had told us he kind of just wanted to work. He wanted to sharpen him up for the Jonathan Shepard here, and I did get somebody to look it up. He ran an 89 Beyer, which is the same speed figure he ran 4 years ago. So
that's
pretty cool, right? So that was his last flat race was 2018, and 89. I think his career high is a 90. So he's still got it, which is again a testament and a tribute to a cool horse. I mean, and he's in there swinging, against some pretty stout distance turf horses, and Jack made a little joke. If he didn't really like the weights for the Shepherd, he might come back into John's call instead. So you never know.
I like that. And that was the reason they didn't come to the Smithwick, right? They were worried about the weight.
Yeah, the races up here are both handicaps, and the third in the series back at Aqueduct this year is a handicap. It's mostly to try to ensure a little bigger field and to make people take some chances, not really chances, but to enter horses against some of those heavy, really talented horses who are going to get the higher weights. So if you're Jack Fisher, if he wins the Smithwick, he was going to carry top weight there and give away probably 20 pounds to at least some of them. Well, then he's going to come back in either of the next 2 and get that much more. So I think that's the idea. Now he can run the Shepherd, and it'll be interesting to see what he does in the September 1. And then the big one is in October at Far Hills in New Jersey, and that's weight for age, so the kind of pressure off on a horse like that.
Looking forward. He is a really talented jumper. Snap. Do you know, are we going to see the Mean Queen?
She's probably not going to make, doesn't sound like she's going to make Saratoga, but they're again trying to make that either that September race at Aqueduct and the Far Hills race. And there's also a race at the end of the meet at Colonial for fillies and mares that she would be, heavy favorite.
Yeah, because last year she was spectacular as well. So I wanted to get some thoughts also. We'll watch the replays, and of course you can follow the coverage of all the racing in the Saratoga Special. Go to thisishorseracing.com online if you're not in the area. You can pick it up at the track or around town, but you can also catch it online. And so I'm sure you had great coverage of the stakes action that was as enthusiastic as the racing fans were here on the weekend. First, we'll look at the Coaching Club American Oaks. I'll get thoughts from Mike Repole when he stops by in a little bit. But from the racing public, Nest, Secret Oath, Nest runs away in what was at least one of what will be the wow performances of the meet.
Yeah, you're gonna have a hard time topping that. That's for sure. She's gonna be in the conversation, I think, all the way through. Even if it did happen early, that's gonna be in the conversation all the way through of best performances. And yeah, she sort of, fired a little bit of a warning shot at the 3-year-old fillies and said, "I'm this good."
And you would think both of these horses had the chance to insert themselves in the conversation as being at the leader of the division, with both Secret Oath winning the Kentucky Oaks, Nest winning the Ashland, now stringing a couple of great ones together. It's going to be interesting to see what D. Wing decides to do with Secret Oath off of, an open length defeat here. But the Alabama, another grade 1, we'll see if Nest can put that one on the resume. But if Secret Oath comes back and wins that, again, with the Kentucky Oaks, then the division becomes interesting. But certainly at this point, I think with the 2 grade 1s, Nest is kind of...
Yeah, no, and that race into Belmont, that was really good. So she's tough, and I think talking to some trainers over the weekend, maybe they're not excuses, but they were a little, concerned if a horse ran dull, maybe they didn't handle the heat. So maybe that's and that's something that I know that's what Todd Pletcher said about Malathot a little bit. He wasn't sure, but maybe that was a reason that she wasn't quite as good as she can be, and maybe that's the same kind of thing with Secret Oath, and you try to come back another day and see what happens.
Speaking of that, on Sunday it was the Shoevy. We'll watch the stretch run there because it is Clear and Malathot, who have faced off a number of times. They have a nice little rivalry going. I've liked Clear for a long time now, so I tilted in her favor. So I was perfectly happy with the results. Second price on the board at 5-1, as Malathot went off at 3-5. As you say, Pletcher after the race thought Malathot maybe was affected a little bit by the heat, looked a little dull in the paddock. For looking dull, this was still a pretty good performance from Malathot, but Clear looked great. Yeah,
you couldn't be disappointed in Malathot, but I think they know how good she is, and they think she's got a little more in her. For whatever reason, she was a little, for her, dull. But again, for her, I don't think you wouldn't take much away from her. And Clear was really good and tough, and as Steve says, she's just kind of improved all along. It was fun talking to John Moynihan with Stone Street. Those 2 fillies, they bred both of them. And I asked, I said, were they ever in the same field together? And he said, oh, definitely, at some point. We don't have it documented, but yeah, I'm sure they were in the same field at some point. They're born 10 days apart on the same farm in Kentucky, here they are. That was their 6th matchup, I think, something like that on the racetrack. Which is really cool.
In this day and age, that's
fun. That's fun. Yeah.
All right, that was a little review. Now a little preview. Saturday, a couple of nice stakes up here with a superstar on the sprint side, and maybe adding a little definition to the 3-year-old scene in the next race. But the superstar on the sprint side comes in the A.G. Vanderbilt Grade 1 event, $350,000, 3/4 of a mile, Jackie's Warrior. And I did a podcast last night. We were talking about this, and the 3 other guys I was on with we're all kind of like, Jackie's Warrior. There was an outsider, though, who thought Willie Boy was a little bit intriguing if you wanted to play around, and certainly that will blow up your picks if you can do that. I thought New York Traffic, on a best effort, may be a little bit interesting, but it really looks like it goes through Jackie's Warrior. But I did know it's the A.G. Vanderbilt handicap, 127. You don't see that too often, so we'll have to overcome that. But Jackie's Warrior just has been spectacular so far, including the 4-for-4 record up here. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, again, I think you're probably going to have to hope he has an off day a little bit. And there's some quality horses in there who can run good races. They certainly haven't quite run the races he's run, and he's just so good. I don't know. We had a lot of fun covering him last year, and here he is again. I don't know how there's no such thing as a sure thing. Say that right now. But I think he's going to be very tough, and he just has held that form, and I think that's a tribute to the horse. And again, you hear the Asmussen team talk about their horses, and when they've got one like that, they talk about how they handle it, and they keep coming back with that A effort, and you really have to admire them for that, because you never know if it's going to happen or not, and he's certainly done it.
Yeah, he has been loaded the past few years with solid sprinters, and this just adds to that resume. A little bit later on Saturday, the Jim Dandy Grade 2 event after the Haskell last week and Cyberknife winning. Arkansas Derby, Haskell, Cyberknife now inserts himself into the conversation, but I don't think anybody has wrestled real control. Folks are still thinking Epicenter really solid despite the second place finish. Second place in the Derby and the Preakness. I tilted towards early voting, though. Off of the Preakness, I just thought, lightly raced. I like the fact that they skipped the Derby, give the horse a little more time. I think there may still be some upside there. But, boy, those two, to me, I could have gone either direction. I tilted slightly towards early voting. Zandon in here, Tawny Port. What are your thoughts on Jim Dandy?
Yeah, I'm with you. I would probably lean toward early voting. I was really impressed with his Preakness, and I think, again, he can move forward off of that, and just because he hasn't run that much. And I like that he's kind of tactical, too. Everybody kind of thought he might be on the lead in the Preakness, but he was in the race. He doesn't have to be on the lead. He's in the race, though, and he does it, and I think that's important. Epicenter, to me, he always runs that good race, and he's probably he's the most consistent 3-year-old of the group. He seems to fire it every time, and maybe again if there's, as Steve said about Clairiere, incremental improvement. If there's incremental improvement in there, he's not that far off winning any of these things. So a win by him, he's probably going to leapfrog some of these horses because his performances, even when he doesn't win, are so good.
Yeah, it's interesting in that, again, that 3-year-old division is undefined, and I have said for a while now, I think the summer will help. We will see how that works out, but I think this is a race that could help that a little bit. Just update us, Saratoga Special, again, what is the schedule, and also update us the last issue, the upcoming issue, what are the stable tours?
Stable tour, I've got one I did yesterday with Tom Amos, so that'll be in Saturday, and the publishing schedule is Wednesday, Saturday, so we've got one tomorrow that'll preview everything and sort of catch up from this week, the Honorable Miss and a couple of the other races, and then I don't think we have another stable tour in the can, so we got to get to work. Tom Law likes to say anvil lifted. The stable tour is an anvil, and somebody has to lift it every day.
Did I see you did Dave Donk?
Yes, that was fun, yeah. Very good. And he's off to a good start at the meet, got a lot of nice horses. He's got a Fingal's Cave is she looks like a nice nice filly, and kind of good to see, and one that's doing some work on the dirt, which again Dave gets a reputation as a turf trainer, but I think he can train any horse, and it's all kind of fun. The Tom Amos one he's in the old Pat Kelly barn back there in the trees, and it's just a cool scene back there. Really cool.
Highly recommended. Pick up the hard copy or go by thisishorseracing.com. You can archive. And don't forget, the handicappers are available every day. You have a good crew of handicappers as well. They're doing very well. Yeah, that's Sherbazian on the radio.
I love to hear it. You got him out there. And, the picks are on.
I can't get them here.
I don't think I can get him here. It's good for radio. But they're on the website every day. The paper's Wednesday, Saturday, and then we'll run every day during sales week. But the picks are on the website every day. So.
Very good. Joe, appreciate the visit. Again, pick up the Saratoga Special Around Track, Around Town, or thisishorseracing.com. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, take the piece with John Velasquez yesterday at the Jocks Room. I'll come back and introduce that and more. Mike Repole a little later. Stay tuned.
To 14 of them across the track. It's sent on their way. And the dance on the outside, broke a little sideways, but broke okay. But meanwhile, it's going to be stopped. But running on now, and Somali Lemonade's got 8 to make up. They come to the top of the lane. Stop. Shopping Maria's got a lot left. Stop. Shopping Maria goes on. Sweet Cat is right there. Hard luck to right. Royal Body is running on. Past the 8-ball, they come. Stop. Shopping Maria for the run. Still under a hand ride as they come to the 16th. Stephanie's Kitten coming out late. Here's Stephanie's Kitten coming fast. Stephanie Stephanie's getting stuff jumping around. Stephanie's getting his water. Watched the chances, broke smartly, but so did Tara from the Cape. On the inside, Sky Lantern, the Grey going well. If he can get through. Sky Lantern, the Grey looking for somewhere to run. Wide open. It's Tara from the Cape hanging on. Tara from the Cape tries to go all the way. On the outside now, here comes Flotilla in the light blue. Flotilla is absolutely flying. Watch the chances in there too. But Flotilla has gone right on by. And Flotilla is coming home to score. Flotilla has won it just about 2 in the end. It'll be Watch the Chances, Summer of Fun, coming on to finish third.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As stated before, yesterday I went over to the Jocks room and caught up with John Velasquez. He's a board member for the Jockeys Guild. Obviously, the jockeys all are very supportive of the PDJF, Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund. It's a great racing-related charity. Keep it in mind. And if you get a chance during the meet to donate, one of those chances will come tomorrow. There's an autograph session out by the Jockeys room, 11:30 to 12:30. That will give you a chance to donate to PDJF. Sunday night across the street at the harness track, they will have the Karaoke Night. That's always a lot of fun as well. And we talked about those events with John. We also talked about he has a horse today, Make It Big in the Curlin. We hit on that. Tomorrow he has Country Grammar out at Del Mar in the San Diego, a prep for the Dubai World Cup. He won his stake early in the meet on Empress Tigress. So we hit on all of that. Jocks Room yesterday with John Velasquez. That's up next.
Talk a little bit about the organization. What's the mission of PDJF?
But the mission is always keep the awareness that, it's 2022, we don't have guarantee funding for the girls and guys who get hurt in the racetrack, and very important that we keep it, the awareness and continue the racing fund so we can help those guys and their families, really. Some of them got hurt really early and not having any income, not having any social security or anything, so this is the only way they can have some sort of help, to survive, basically. So this is a great organization that really does a lot for those guys and whatever they need to fix their homes, cars, ramps, and all the medication and stuff that they need month to month. So yeah, very important.
So there's some events coming up. Let's push those events a little bit. And one of them is Saturday right here at the race course. Folks want to come out and get some memorabilia signed, they can do that. All the jockeys will be available. Talk a little about Saturday.
Absolutely. Everybody's Disabled Jockeys Week, we call it. We have here at Saratoga, we have this sign an autograph and with donations, and we can sign all kind of memorabilia, whatever they want. So come Saturday definitely and enjoy a little bit with all the jockeys, sign in. I think it's between 11:30 to 12:30.
And it's right up at the Jockey Standings.
Right outside the Jockey's service. That's right.
Very good. Also coming up Sunday night, an event that everybody looks forward to, the Karaoke Night across the street at the harness track. It's now become kind of an East Coast, West Coast battle. It'll be streaming live. Talk a little bit about karaoke.
It is. It's an event that we do really look forward to. I mean, a lot of people look forward to as well. It's funny. Obviously, we're not very good singers, but we put a good show. It's a fun event. And we try our best, we try to make it fun. We try to make the best possible, that so people enjoy it. And it's a lot of fun. People who come in really get to enjoy it. So come in and support it, because it's the night that we really have you can see that we come out of our shells to do something that we're not used to it, obviously, but it's a lot of fun. So I hope that people continue, supporting it and come out and enjoy it.
And from what I read, you and your wife were the winners a couple of 3 years. What
yeah,
did you sing?
we the last one, obviously before the pandemic, that obviously we haven't done a karaoke because of the pandemic. We're back in, but we were the winner in the last event. Unfortunately, we're not going to be singing this event, so my wife's going to be in California and I'm in the middle of whether I'm going to be back here or not. So, but if I'm here, I'll go to the event and participate in the best that I can.
Yeah, always a lot of fun, and as they say, a little battle, and people can watch on Facebook or go over and donate and go to the harness track.
Yeah, and going back to like you say, it's like, and remember, then the following week will be the West Coast event, so they're kind of the rivalry type of thing to do and make it fun, so to see who wins between the East Coast and the West.
Fans get to vote, and it's,
exactly,
it's going to be a lot of fun. Also, as I came back here in the jockeys room, you and some of the other jockeys were signing some bottles. There's an event coming up on August 5th, Friday, August 5th. Casa Amigos Jockeys and Horses, benefiting also PDGF and the TRF.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about that and the autograph session.
Yeah, absolutely. The TRF get benefit from the Casa Amigos, event, and Anita Motion and those crew have done a great job in planning this event here in Saratoga. This is only the second event, but it's very dear to our hearts, but the horses and PDGF as well. So, anything that we can do to continue the awareness and that we are helping our industry within ourselves is important.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, so those are 3 nice events coming up that will allow fans to interact with the jockeys, have some fun, and donate as well. I want to talk a little bit about you first. Talk a little bit about this winter. Speaking of Southern California, you were out there. Seemed like you had a pretty good season out there. Reflect and review the Southern California winter.
I was very, very blessed and fortunate that I was invited to go over there, and everything went really, really well. Got to ride for a lot of people, actually, Patrick on Charles and for all of them. I mean, I really got to got a lot of support from all those guys when I'm there, which I was a little bit, because I've never been in California for a winter or for a whole season, if you will. And sometimes you get a little nervous because they have the old jockeys and stuff like that. And for a guy coming from the East Coast going to the West Coast, and they're kind of a little iffy. But I had a lot of great support from Mike McCarthy, and the rest of the guys, and they were really good. I said to everyone, top trainers, try to give me opportunity and give me at least a winner. I go to okay, I know you got your jockeys, but you got just at least one winner. So, and it worked out good. So I think I did very well for all the guys that gave me opportunity. So very nice. I went a little cold in the end, actually, with the passing of my mother-in-law, so I was more in New York than I was in California. But overall, it was a great winter.
Tell me, just from a lifestyle perspective, is it different up there in Southern California?
I didn't think I was going to like it there, because then again, I never lived there. We lived very close to the racetrack. We were in Monrovia, and we got in very late when we went over there. We didn't even have an apartment or a house, nothing secure. So we got an apartment in Monrovia, and very pretty street, and all the restaurants and the movie theater and everything was very close. And my wife wanted to be there, and she enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Obviously, riding good horses doesn't help anything, but living close to the racetrack, it helped a lot for me. So I'm not a guy who likes to be traveling and driving long distances, but living there very close to San Anita, it helped. So it was very nice. We enjoyed it. Then we brought my father-in-law in with us. He loved it. He can't wait to go back.
And they're up. From the outside, Empress Tigress is going out for the early lead. And Mystic Eyes is now coming on through. Down on the inside, it is Artos. Mystic Eyes has the lead with Empress Tigress on the outside in second, and Artos next in third. Then comes Lady Scarlet, who's racing in fourth, Static Fire in fifth, and right alongside is Darien. And then we come back to Poppy Flower, and farther back is Sweet Salade. The quarter winning 21 3/5 seconds. It is Mystic Eyes leading by a half length. Empress Tigress on the outside, right there in second. Just in behind is Artos, who's down towards the rail. Then comes Lady Scarlet. Static Fire is forced widest of all. As the field comes into the stretch now, it is Empress Tigress who has the lead here. Static Fire on the far outside. Now moving up is Poppy Flower. Empress Tigress trying to hold off Poppy Flower here. They're coming on for the finish. Empress Tigress and Poppy Flower. Empress Tigress. She's only run twice, but she is now 2 for 2. The 3-year-old filly captures the Coronation Cup.
Talk about Saratoga, return to Saratoga. You had a nice stakes win early in the meet. I'm just curious your thoughts on Empress Tigress. She won the Coronation Cup and did it in fine fashion. 2 for 2 now for Jonathan Thomas and Augustin.
She ran first time out at Woodbine, and Jonathan had told me she's going to be very fast, Johnny. So I always just wanted to make sure that I watched her replay and everything, that I didn't overdo it. Sure enough, man, she freaking gave up and she was shot out of there very quickly. So I wanted to save it a little bit, and especially knowing that Jose this horse, had watched it run the last time, so I got to save some for the end, and it worked out very good. Obviously, very nice horse for her to just run one race, come back here with a tougher group that she was running in Woodbine. Very nice horse.
Coming up, that's a review. Let's do a little preview coming up on Friday afternoon. The Curlin, you have Make It Big for Todd, brand new in Todd's barn, brand new to you. How do you handle when you jump on board a brand new horse like that?
The same thing. I'm very used to this, and we do this a lot, and especially for me, it's like basically do the homework, see what the competition look like, what his best races are, and see how to accommodate something like that. The way the horse would like to be ridden, basically watch the competition, obviously talk to Todd, and then we go from there. We watch the races during the day and see if anything changes. We have to accommodate that as well. It's just a lot of homework, really, and I'm old enough that I had to say I'm very comfortable to do this for any horse that they'll throw at me anyway.
And you're going to jump on board a new horse for you on Saturday. You're going to be out at Del Mar, prep for the Pacific Classic with the Dubai World Cup winner for Bob Baffert.
Now gets asked a question, but he's kicked 2 lanes clear of Midnight Bourbon, who's second. Country Grammar third. Hot Rod Charlie's towards the inside rail. Then comes Chua Wizard, 200 meters out. Life is Good is the leader. Country Grammar second. Hot Rod Charlie continues to gain ground towards the inside. Life is Good with a target on his back. Country Grammar getting the upper hand, draws alongside, and Country Grammar with his Dates for Destiny in front, a length and a half. Country Grammar won the Dubai World Cup.
Country Grammar, thoughts on that?
Again, he's just never ridden the horse. I've watched him race many times, so I see the style of running. I got to do my homework and see how the competition looks. I haven't really go through the race at all. But yeah, a good horse. Obviously, he's been really good. I went into the Dubai World Cup. He was second in the Saudi Cup, so he's been knocking in the door and running really well since Bob has him. So hopefully we can do that, and hopefully the trip didn't really being so long out in the Middle East didn't knock him down, and hopefully he can come back and run the same way he ran the Dubai World Cup.
Well, we wish you a lot of good luck out there. Good luck on Friday as well. Good luck the remainder of the meet. We appreciate it, and I hope everybody turns out for the PDJ events, because it's a great organization.
I really appreciate that you actually still, helping us out, with awareness of the PDJ and the TRF as well. It's the organization that we are taking care of ourselves. Our needs, so it's important for all of us to do our part. So thank you.
Again, thanks and good luck to John Velasquez. He's got the runner today in the Curlin, and other runners, but he has Make It Big in the Curlin. And then tomorrow, Country Grammar in the San Diego. And of course, the San Diego, again, a prep for the Pacific Classic. Country Grammar coming out of the win in the Dubai World Cup. We'll see how he does on the return, as it were. And again, don't forget, it'd be a lot of fun. Last week, it was the Lustgarten Foundation. You got a full array of trainers out by the Jockey Silks room to sign memorabilia, and tomorrow you get to do it on the jockey side to benefit the PDJF. 11:30 to 12:30 out by the Jockey Silks room. I'm trying to think of how to explain it. It's one of those things you can ask people who work at the track. They'll point you in the right direction if you're not familiar with where that is. But there'll be a lineup of all the jocks, and bring your memorabilia, and you can get it signed tomorrow. Make a donation to the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund. You will feel good having done that. Don't forget Sunday night Jockey Karaoke. If you come, that's great. It's a lot of fun. It's a few laps. If you can't come, go to the Jockey Guild website, or probably Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund as well. But I know on the Jockeys Guild website, they, link to Facebook page that will be streaming live. So The Saratoga event gets streamed live next week out at Del Mar. Karaoke from the Southern California jockeys get streamed live. And you, the fan, get to vote for the winners. So East Coast versus West Coast. Come on, we got to root for the home team. Again, you can watch that. If you can't make it up here, watch live. And don't forget, if you do that, also toss in a donation to the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund. So again, and the Casa Amigos event should be fun too, as they put in the piece when I was back there yesterday. Jose Ortiz was signing some bottles and John was signing some bottles. So you get, I don't know how many people, but most of the Saratoga jockey colony will have an autograph on the Casa Amigos bottles. So you can purchase one of those as well at that event coming up. But next Friday, I believe it is, down at the Adelphi. That should be fun as well. So keep that in mind. Talked about it on the handicapping show earlier, but it is news worth noting. Belmont Park Fall Meet will be held at Aqueduct this year. There's a construction will be happening with tunnels that will, go under the main track and the turf course. That's going to allow Belmont to open up the infield to fans and events and whatnot. So should be a really nice improvement to the racetrack and the fan experience and whatnot. But obviously, something of that major nature will require the closure of Belmont Park. So the fall meet at Belmont will be held over at Aqueduct. That means it's going to be one long Aqueduct meet with, encompassing the regular Aqueduct meet and the Belmont meet as well. Big A is going to offer 41 stakes worth $9.9 million. That normally would be over on the Belmont side of things. But it's, again, as I say, a major improvement happening at Belmont that will preclude racing there. So when they leave Saratoga, there'll be that normal little break, and then they'll pop down to the Big A. 28-day Belmont meet that begins on September 15th after we close here. It'll run through Sunday, October 30th. But again, it will be at Aqueduct. There's going to be 4 Grade 1 races. There's 4 win-and-you're-in qualifiers for the Breeders' Cup. 23 graded stakes, 41 stakes overall. Again, $9.9 million in purses at the Belmont at Aqueduct meet coming up again after we wrap things up here at Saratoga. And again, there'll be that little break, but they'll kick back in on September 15th at the Big A in place of Belmont. Then when Belmont opens up, it'll be fun to see. With the tunnel, I would expect they will take full advantage of the infield down at Belmont. And I remember years and years ago enjoying the infield here at Saratoga. We've talked about it before. It's hard to believe now, but they used to have a wooden platform over the turf course, so folks weren't stomping on the turf course. But that, of course, meant on those days there was no turf racing. So the infield was opened up on weekends here, and it was fun. But there was no turf racing, so they obviously, with turf racing being what it is, you don't want to do that type of a situation, hence the tunnel. But again, just relating experiences I had years ago, the infield here at Saratoga was a lot of fun. I think at Belmont, I think there's going to be a certain fan base that will find that very attractive to head to the infield and enjoy races out there, a different perspective. But I'm sure all the amenities will be out there, and given the size of Belmont, you will be able to stretch out on the infield at Belmont Park. So looking forward to seeing how that all shakes out with the new and improved Belmont Park, as it were. Current jockey standings after the Thursday program. Irod Ortiz still in the lead. He has 16 winners, tied with 12. It's Joel Rosario and Luis Saez. On the trainer side of things, Chad Brown and Todd Pletcher both with 10. Mike Maker with 7. Christophe Clement with 5. So familiar names around, and it's going to be interesting to see how the trainer battle continues here. We are fairly light into the meet as it is. 11 days in at this point, and it's tied between Chad Brown and Todd Pletcher. And again, it's always fun to watch the jockeys battle, but Irod Ortiz is kind of running very well right now. So there's our standings on the human side of things. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Mike Repole will join us. Stay tuned. Racing Across America continues.
4 generations and looking forward to a 5th, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued their 99-year tradition of delighting their faithful following with the finest authentic Italian recipes made with the freshest ingredients. Some things have changed in the last 99 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops, my bad. Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Happy to be joined now by Mike Repole. Already off to a big meet so far, but a lot of nice runners ahead as well. We'll hit on that much more. Mike, good morning.
Hey, Seth, good morning.
Happy to have you on board. And reiterate, we were just laughing. You were tossing out the Uncle Mo story a little bit, and how you wound up with a nice horse and wound up to be a nice sire as well.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you're bidding, you're not sure if you want the horse or don't want the horse. So Jimmy Krupe, who passed away, God rest his soul, and Jim Martin, my racing manager, said I need to have a horse in the sale. They gave me the number. I turned the page. It's an Indian Charlie. 2 years before that, I bought an Indian Charlie for $350, and I think he would have made him 25 up here at Saratoga. So I was so disappointed. But Jimmy Krupe, Mike, you got to have this horse. He only told me that maybe 50 times, 49 times. I think he ran for maiden 25. But Jimmy had a great eye for horses. I said, listen, I'll bid up to 200. I was on the phone. Got stuck at 200, and I was praying that somebody bid 210. Just get me out of here, get me out of here. Somebody bids 210. Jim Martin says, Mike, hit him one more time, hit him one more time. I thought he meant either him or Krupe hit him one more time, but I did at 220, and then I remember we got him at 220. I got off the phone. I'm like, I just wasted $220,000, and it turned out pretty good, by the way.
It turned out,
you never know.
Very good. Yeah, serendipity sometimes works out. Talk a little bit about, again, we're going to take a look at some of these races that you've won already and preview as well. But, Ness, for instance, trained by Todd Pletcher. I know you and Todd have been a team for a long time. Talk a little bit about how you guys matched up and how you've been such a long-standing partnership.
It really started, people don't know this, I started the game in 2005, and I started really slow. You can learn this game with $500,000 yearlings, or you can learn this game with $20,000 claimers. Way cheaper to go the claiming route. So for about 4 or 5 years, I started very slow. Bought a couple $100,000 horses, $200,000 horses, and honestly, I just got tired of watching my horses in the same race as Todd, and watching me sit in my seats and him walk to the winner's circle. So if you can't beat him, you got to join him. And many people won't know this. In 2009. It has to be a record. I shouldn't be saying it right now. I was 0 for 36 as an owner in this meet. I don't think it's possible to go 0 for 36. And I don't think any owners did it, because who would run 36 horses here? So I go 0 for 36, and I have two choices. Either I'm going to change everything about my stable, or I'm going to get out of this game. And I've had a couple dinners with Todd in 07, 08, 09 in September. We had a dinner, and I made the decision to move over in 09. It's now our 14th year together, and the rest is history. And the next 3 years, 10, 11, 12, not only did I get wins, I won the owner's title in 2010, 11, and 12.
Yeah, very good. And you talked about playing the claiming game early, and you now play at the highest level of the game, as we'll see with some of these horses. But I do a handicapping show the rest of the year in the afternoon down in our studio in Albany, and I see your name popping up with the claiming horses. You like the action.
Listen, I still
I'll watch a maiden 5 at Finger Lakes on a homebred, and I'll watch Nest win the Grade 1 coaching club. I mean, I love the sport. I love the action. I love winning. I love competing. Rudy Rodriguez does a great job for me. I've had a couple horses with Bruce. I've had horses with Mike Maselli. Jeremiah. I mean, it's just fun. I just love the game.
You talk about loving the game, and as I was reading some bio material last night, I laughed at this. I mean, we're Capital OTB, so I love this. One of your first horses, Run to Grand Avenue, named after the OTB you went to.
So growing up, after school, I had to go hit the late double. So I get off the school bus, and I'd run to Grand Avenue, which was probably from where the school bus let me off, probably about 3/4 of a mile. Or we can say 6 furlongs, and we go to OTB, and I was probably 15, 16 years old. This is when OTB didn't even show the races. You just had to listen to it, and and you just picture it in your mind, and listen to the race, and I just fell in love with handicapping. I really fell in love with how to handicap and things like that. So a lot of fun for me.
I did some of that early OTV where I was a little underage, and you'd find a teller you could work with a little bit.
Or an old man that would take 10% of your bet, but and put your bets in for you.
Were the downstate OTVs, were you doing the letters instead of the numbers? Because up here it'd be like the BAD triple.
Yeah, I think it started with the letters, and then eventually it went to the numbers and all that, but it was a lot of fun.
All right, let's go and catch some of the action that you've had already, and what has so far been a very nice meet. And let's take a look. Going back to the Coaching Club American Oaks last week, we'll watch the replay. It'll be Nest over Secret Oak. Nest, who had won the Ashland, Secret Oak, who had won the Kentucky Oaks. They both had run second against the boys subsequently. But I said it, we showed this a little earlier with Joe Clancy, and I said, when the meet ends, this is going to be, if not certainly amongst the top 2 or 3 wow moments of the meet. A 104 buyer. Talk about Nest and the Coaching Club.
Listen, you always want to see a horse win, and then you're happy for the jockey, you're happy for Todd, and you're happy for the horse. But this horse won the Ashland by 7.5, 8 lengths. Ran in the Oaks, ran a second, but ran a winning race and just got caught inside. Then goes to the Belmont, and I run her against the boys, and again gets caught inside, makes a nice run, and comes second again. That one I didn't mind so much because came second to a horse that I owned, so that was okay. But, very few times, Seth, have I been in a race where I just hope the horse wins for the horse. And not only did she win, she won by 12.5 lengths and 104, 130. I think the time form might have been better than all the Colts this year, too. And, you know what? Honestly, I just felt so good for her and so happy. And, we've been visiting her all day with my daughter Joy at the farm and at the barn. And she's such a sweet horse. And she galloped today for the first time. Unbelievable, energetic, enthusiastic. She looks great. She eats up. She gains weight. She's getting better, man. She's getting better, and she's a curler. And you know what? Her best start's going to be her next start. Her best start after that's going to be her next start. So she's an awesome filly, a special filly, and I think she's got a shot to be, one that we remember for a long, long time.
Well, give us the update on what you may be thinking. What is next, Alabama, or do we try the boys at the Travers?
It's I'm so blessed because I got to win the Alabama in 2014 with Stop Charging Brea, and I got to win the Travers in 2011. So, to win races like this at Saratoga, being a kid from Queens, I never even had a car that was able to get to Saratoga. so I went to Aqueduct in Belmont, but I never had a car in my 20s that could even make it halfway up. My 91 Buick Skylark never could make it up here, and now to win to be in these races, to be on the show, So, listen, everybody knows that I'm a major competitor, and I love to win. And I also like to do things for the fans. Part of it is putting her in the Belmont was make the Belmont a big story, but you have to do it right for the horse. I think there's no doubt that if she ran in the Travers, she'd be favored. She might be 2-1, she might be 5-2. She would be favored. But it's 90% leaning towards the Alabama.
Well, I would say an Alabama win almost clinches an eclipse, you would think.
Yeah, you know what? She's getting pretty close right now.
No, I agree. I totally agree.
But yeah, it does. And she really is a special filly. And the only one thing I like better about the Travers is it's a week later.
Yeah.
It gives her 5 weeks instead of 4. But the way she galloped today, Todd, we might enter her for next week. I mean, she really looks great right now.
She was phenomenal last week, and congratulations on that. You also had a win yesterday. Again, we were talking about this race a little bit earlier. Luis Saez had to earn his money yesterday with Fearless at the Birdstone distance of 1 3/4 miles. Fearless, the number 1 horse. Nice late run in the stretch to get it done. And you were talking about this horse in the winner's circle afterwards, how versatile he is. This was a really nice performance, as I say, at the marathon 1 3/4 miles. Talk about Fearless.
You know, he's such a special horse. I mean, the only horse that I've ever owned in my life that I can compare this horse to right now is Keisha Electronica. I claim Keisha for 62.5. She went on to win over $1 million. Fearless, I bought in a sale last July. In 1 year, she's made $800,000. I paid $200,000 for him. And but what I love about this horse, very similar to Keisha, is you know, he can win at 7 furlongs. He can win at a mile. He can win 1 1/8, and he can win 1.5 miles like the Brooklyn, and then he can win at 1 3/4 miles. The one thing Todd and I talked about yesterday was, now that he went 1 3/4 miles, his next start we're going to cut him back, no matter what. So we're going to cut him back. And the only thing I told Todd we should do with him is maybe win a steeplechase race with him. I think he can go the distance, and I think he can jump. But unbelievable guts. Listen, Luis, I sent him a text yesterday. I think he had the second best performance. I think the horse had the best one. Luis came back and said, "Oh, Mike, that was really tiring." I said, "You? What about the horse?" You know, but I mean, Fearless is just, whoever named him appropriately. He's a fearless horse, and you know, I love these geldings because I have no pressure about them.
Yeah.
You know, if he wins the grade 1, he's worth X or Y. You know, listen, if he stays healthy and he loves what he's doing, we're going to run him for a long, long time.
Yeah, and again, he stretched out the 1.5 miles last time, the 1 3/4 miles. So, and has won. So you have many options going forward with a horse like that, which makes it a lot of fun. All right, we mentioned Nest, and we mentioned the second place in the Belmont, but I had to show the Belmont. Mo Donegal gets it done. The number 6 horse, number 3 Nest second. Mo Donegal, again, you bought into that one, so you are a part owner of the Belmont winner. And just seeing the post-race comments and whatnot, I know this had to be, as a New York guy, very special to you. Not just a win, but running 1-2 in the race. Talk about the win going back a month and a half or so.
Yeah, you know, 6 weeks later, it's still surreal. I mean, I haven't felt like this in a while. When Uncle Mo won his Breeders' Cup Juvenile, I felt it. Like I felt like a 13-year-old kid from Queens, you know, watching the race. And when this has always been the race that's always been my dream. I mean, it's New York's biggest race. I didn't even know what state the Kentucky Derby was as a kid. I didn't know Kentucky's a state. I still didn't know that. And the Preakness, honestly, it wasn't big to me. But this is always the race, from Easy Goer to watching all these great horses win it, to watching Angel Cadero win it, great jockeys like that. And knowing I was at that racetrack on a regular basis. But it was so special. It's the race for New Yorkers. You know, now that I live in Florida the last 3 years, but I'm always going to be Mike from Queens. And, you know, usually you see me very enthusiastic after a race and fired up and hugging everybody. When they crossed the wire, I just needed.
It was clearly emotional.
I just had to smack myself to make sure it was real. And you know what? And then you see, because I don't know how you watch a race, Seth. When my horse gets to the front, I look at the horse. I look where the finish line is because I want it to be as close as possible. And then I look back at the horse, and then I look to see who's coming. When I look to see who's coming, it was Nest. And I see the blue and orange going 1-2. And I sit there for 14 seconds saying, I'm going to win this race. I don't know who's going to win it with me. But I'm going to win this race. It was probably the greatest 14 seconds an owner can ever have in racing. And it was really, really special, from my mom and dad to my wife Maria to my daughter Joya, and 70
I was going to say, how many people were in the winner's circle?
70, and then Donegal Racing, Jerry Crawford, who runs a great job, and Jerry's done a great job with Donegal Racing.
You were a little late in the winner's circle yesterday.
You know what? It was I think it was 22 people yesterday. Yeah, a little light. Alabama was more. People are being selective on what weekends they come up here. So.
I noticed that yesterday. There was only 22 in there, but for you, that was a little bit light. Let's talk a little bit in preview now. The Curlin today, you have Be Better. I like Be Better. We're going to go back and look at the Monmouth Allowance win on Independence Day. Be Better is going to be the number 2 horse. Very lightly raced, but so far the 2 starts we've seen this year down at Monmouth, a couple of wins, the Maiden Breaker, and then this effort. Comes in, I think he's well suited to step into the assignment in Stakes Company this afternoon. What are your thoughts on Be Better in the Curlin?
You know, we loved him last year as a 2-year-old. But we know he was a big Uncle Mo. He had that one race. He lost to this maiden called, I don't know if you guys know him, Jack Christopher. Turned out to be, he lost by 10, so he said, you know what, maybe he's not that. So he lost by 10, but he was actually closing really, really well at like 5.5 furlongs or 6. We put him away. We always do the right things by our horses, put him away, bring him back, won a race at Monmouth, mile off a year layoff, second start of the life. Only Todd Pletcher can do that, by the way. You guys know how great he is. And then his last race, I mean, he ran a great rag, a great buyer, great thorough manager, it's a great time for a number. He's going it, the further the better. I hope this track plays as deep as it's had this whole meet, because this horse wants 1.5 miles. And listen, this is the race where either he's going to run a 100 buyer and win by 2, or he's going to run a 90 buyer and be third by 5. But today is the race, no excuses. I wouldn't be surprised if he's 5-1 in Travers, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's in a 2 other than allowance in Belmont. So today we're going to find out.
Yeah,
I like him a lot, though.
You mentioned the numbers. I'm curious. When you and Todd plan, do you use numbers, and are there a set of numbers that you consider a little more important in your use?
You know what? We always use the numbers, and I like to look at all.
Yeah.
I like to see, because sometimes they're very consistent, and sometimes one will have a bigger number and the other 3, so I kind of stick with that. And Todd and I will always talk numbers. We also have a great game plan, but Todd and I mean, we over communicate a lot. We speak a lot. I think that's up to me, because I call Todd a lot, and we have a lot of conversations, and half the time he doesn't pick up. But I ask him a lot of questions, and we also use the eye test on 2 things. One, the eye test when they run. Sometimes they run a low number, but they went.
Yeah.
They didn't have to go fast.
Yeah.
Or they were very wide, or the pace was scenario, or the track was drying out. So we look at that. The second thing is no one that sees how a horse is training better than Todd, how a horse works, how they gallop out versus their competition. So you can tell when a horse is doing really well. Like Be Better last week had an incredible 5 furlong work. Incredible, great. So we're expecting a big effort today, but we take all those scenarios. Like, we thought about running Wit in the Amsterdam. We tried him on turf last week. He had a massive turf work. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Make sure you don't tell your viewers to bet him, but he looked great, and he's going to work tomorrow. But he loved the turf. Loved the turf. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Excellent. Let me hit on a couple more before we let you go. And I talked to you before we started when you sat down. Dynamic One, I pulled up the Suburban. He was in the nomination list for the Whitney, and as I say, coming out of this nice win in the Suburban, he'll be the number 5 horse here. What is your game plan for Dynamic One?
Listen, we think the further he goes, the better. This was a 1.25 mile race. It was a super slow pace. He's probably the only horse that could have closed on a pace like this. He reminds us a little bit of Vino Rosso. A good 3-year-old. You know what? We disappointed us in the Travers. Had nothing wrong with him. Send him away. Call me back when he turns 4 years old. And he's come back and he's won 3 or 4 good races this year. I think he's going to run. We're going to wait for the Jockey Gold Cup, which is at Labor Day weekend, 1.25 mile race, and let these horses beat each other up in the Whitney. We like that, and let them skip the Jockey Gold Cup, and then if he does well there, we'll go right to the Breeders' Cup Classic. If not, we'll go find another race to win.
We've talked about it, Anthony and I, on the handicapping show before. That seems to be something that now is a thing where, even 10 years ago, going from Saratoga right to the Breeders' Cup, that is now an option, whereas, as I say, 10 years ago, that was maybe a little too long.
Yeah, it's 8 weeks, and listen, it really depends on the horse. Some horses need that every 5 weeks, and that's why when you have a guy like Todd, some horses gain. Nest gained weight after the Belmont. That's impossible almost. So and some horses lose 50 pounds, and they need a couple weeks before they get going. So it's really knowing the personality, knowing the horse inside and out, which Todd and his team, by the way, his team does a great job, do best. And then listen, I just take the information Todd gives me, and then I come up with suggestions, and if they're right, then I'll tell everyone it was my idea. If they're wrong, I'll say, I don't know why Todd did that. And we have a lot of fun with that.
2-year-olds, that's what Saratoga is all about. Let's go back to earlier in the meet, and boy, you had a nice one. I say 2-year-old, 3. This is the first time starter, 3-year-old actually, but these first time starters are always very nice. By not this time, so there's a little breeding on top. So again, a little bit of a belated debut as a 3-year-old, but an impressive debut, going back to July 21st, and again, 3-year-old up to the mark. Pretty good looking debut. Talk about this one coming out in the first start and doing this.
This horse was working last year in April, May, and June. He was beating Witt, who went on to win, the Grade 2 Sanford and was second in the hopeful, and won the I think it was the Bayshore this year. So we were probably going to enter him in the race that we entered Witt. Had a little bit of an issue. Witt goes on, but this horse was beating Witt. We did the right thing. We said, we're going to treat the 3-year-old like a 2-year-old, and his 4-year-old season will be his 3-year-old season. We put him away, and this is when I'm partners with Vinny Viola, who's, actually we have more fun than anything else in the partnership. Winning is second to having fun. Vinny and I have the same view. Like, we're not going to, we don't care about running horses at 4 and 5. So we had Vito Rosa at 4. We had Dynamic 1 at 4. I think for Vinny and I, and obviously Todd, I think this Up to the Mark is going to be our 4-year-old horse right now. And we love him, and he ran a really, really good race. 88 buyer, first time out, and did it on a hand ride. I mean, nice horse.
Do you have any specific plans coming up?
Yeah, 1X. We're gonna go really slow. I don't mind being 2 to 5 and getting everyone in a circle. I'm okay with that.
If you're thinking you got a nice 4-year-old coming along, that's the perfect move. And I just wanted to hit on one more because you and I were talking the other day, and I believe your first starter at Del Mar, going back to July 22nd. This is Uncontrollable, the number 6 horse who had a trip and got up and wins by daylight. Talk a little bit about the win out at Del Mar.
It was funny that, I bought a California bred. I mean, I don't think I've ever bought a California bred in my life. Obviously, I didn't buy it for California. But Michael McCarthy, who...
when we picked it up, he was not a bettable horse. When 3 furlongs in, I would have bet 8th by 10. Then about with a furlong to go, I said, if he gets 3rd, this is amazing. When he won by 3 and galloped out 10 in front, I said, holy, I can't use the word on this TV show, but unbelievable. And Michael McCarthy, he worked with Todd for so long. I know him for a long, long time. Doing a great job out there. Still talks to Todd. And, to bring a California bred out there, win opening day at Del Mar. And it's pretty funny. I had 5 horses in Saratoga that day. I go 0 for 5, but I go 1 for 1 in Del Mar. I was in the wrong track, and stuff like that. So, but we got a bunch of good 2-year-olds, gun runners, into mischiefs, Curlins, Uncle Mo's. So you're not seeing the speedy, Viola, Ripoli 2-year-olds, but we're looking for later of the year horses. We're looking for classic horses, and we'll unleash them at the end of the meet, 6-7 furlongs, and get them ready. Maybe for the Champagne and Breeze Cup. Forte ran a sneaky good race in the Sanford. I was going to ask you about
sneaky good race. Sneaky good race. Yeah.
And you had a little consolation that the winner was an Uncle Mo.
Well, it was an Uncle Mo strike. Yeah, that's not much of a consolation.
I said
Uncle Mo's got so many winners. We don't need consolation prizes from him anymore. There are certain times I love him, and certain times I can't stand him because he beats me a lot more than he wins for me. So that's that.
Just want to ask you quickly before we wrap up, as I was doing the bio information, you graduated from St. John's, you had a sports administration degree. How did you wind up in the beverage industry?
Well, I only had a 2.2 grade point average. So what do you call it? When I graduated, I was looking to be the GM of the Mets or head coach of St. John's. I sat at home, they didn't call me for a year. I just waited and waited. They probably made a mistake. They probably should have called it. Their mistake, not mine. And then my mom threw me out of the basement and said, I got to go get a job. So I got into sales. It started beverages. And, once, Seth, for people who know me, once I get into something, I'm in 100% or I'm not in. And, went from selling beverages and making $22,000 a year to how do I start the next big thing. And I was 29 years old when I started Small Water and Vitamin Water with my partner, Darius. I was 37 years old when we sold it in 07. I vowed never to get back in the beverage industry. 2011, I started Body Armor. And November of last year, after 10 years, we sold that to Coca-Cola also. So just blessed, just a really blessed guy, and love my friends, love my family, and love racing.
And you kind of alluded to it, your Silks colors.
Blue and orange, like the Mets.
There you
go.
Yeah,
like the Mets.
And you're a St. John's guy. I'm a Syracuse guy. I will lament you guys are still in the Big East. It's not the old Big East. I was talking to somebody the other day. That 30 for 30 that ESPN put out, Requiem for the Big East. I like to go back and watch that every once in a while.
I love Pearl Washington growing up,
Yeah.
and Ewing and Chris Mullen. It was a lot of fun back there in the early '80s.
Yeah, there's nothing like the heyday of the Big East. Mike, we really appreciate the visit. Again, congratulations on the great start to the meet. We laid out some horses that we'll look forward to as well, including Be Better this afternoon. But appreciate your stopping by. I know it's very busy with this kind of group of horses, but wish you a lot of good luck going forward.
It's great. Got a horse in the first, too. Don't forget about him.
All right. Oh, and I should ask, you got any, maybe 1 2-year-old we should watch?
I haven't named my 2-year-olds yet, but there's a, I'll give you 2. Secret Jewel out of Gunrunner, and then Don't Forget About Me out of Curlin. So, you know, you might not love them this August, but you might love them next March, April, and May.
All right.
I'm hoping for that, too.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Seth. I appreciate it.
Mike Repole. All right, we will wrap it up for this edition of Racing Across America. It was a full show. Hopefully you enjoyed it, got some good ideas. We'll be back tomorrow, as usual, handicapper support at 9, Racing Across America at 10 a.m. Enjoy the racing today. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.